The UN's World Food Programme has warned that millions of Sudanese refugees risk plunging deeper into hunger and malnutrition due to drastic cuts to life-saving food assistance. More than 4 million people have now fled to neighbouring countries in search of food, shelter and safety following 2 years of civil war. The civil war that broke out following tensions between the Sudanese army and its rival, the Rapid Support Forces, has left tens of thousands of people dead and 12 million others displaced. We can go to Thailand now, where the country's former Prime Minister, Thaksin Shinawatra, is due to appear in court at the start of a defamation trial. Here are some live pictures now from Bangkok. He's accused of insulting the monarchy, which, under Thailand's strict royal defamation laws, could bring a maximum 15-year jail sentence. The allegations stem from an interview he gave in 2015 to a South Korean newspaper. The trial is set to last 3 weeks, and a verdict is not expected for at least a month after that. The lèse-majesté laws shield the king and his close family from insult or abuse, though critics say the laws are abused to stifle legitimate comment and debate. US President Trump has signed a new executive order reinstating sanctions and restrictions on Cuba. The order restores a ban on US tourists going to Cuba and bans any financial transactions with entities that are controlled by the Cuban military. It also supports the economic embargo on the communist nation. Trump's latest directive effectively reverses any easing of restrictions put in place by his predecessor, Joe Biden. Now, jurors in the high-profile sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs have concluded day one of deliberations after hearing 2 months of testimony from more than 30 witnesses. The 55-year-old rapper is charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy and transportation to engage in prostitution. If found guilty of the most serious charges, he could face life in prison. Now, Norway's state-owned lottery company has apologised to 47,000 people who were mistakenly told that they'd won huge sums. Norsk Tipping said that the mistake happened after the winnings were converted from euros into Norway's currency, the kroner, and a calculation error multiplied the actual prize money by 10,000. The company's chief executive has resigned, and Norway's lottery regulator is investigating whether any laws were broken. Now, US stocks hit another all-time high on Monday. The S&P 500 closed above 6,200, gaining 0.5% in the day's trade. The social media giant Meta helped drive up the market after its boss, Mark Zuckerberg, announced plans to hire the top talent in artificial intelligence. The Fed has been cautious when assessing the cost of borrowing due to expectations of elevated inflation as the deadline for higher US tariffs to restart approaches. With about a week till the 9th of July deadline, President Trump has threatened to impose a fresh tariff level on Japan, citing the country's unwillingness to accept US rice exports, despite Japan facing a rice shortage. Now, talks between the two countries are expected to continue, as the White House has said it aims to finalise further trade deals after the 4th of July holiday.
Our headlines for you today. Dozens of Labour MPs are set to vote against the government's welfare reform bill later, in spite of concessions from ministers.
We report from the beaches of northern France as the numbers of migrants crossing the Channel so far this year fast approaches 20,000, a record figure.
It wasn't difficult for us to find a large group of people wanting to get to the UK, but here, there's no sign of the police.
Good morning. Energy prices will fall from today for millions of households in England, Scotland and Wales, but uncertainty remains over whether costs will stay down into the winter.
And now there's 4 vehicles all far too close to each other.
Bumper to bumper. Too close for comfort. A new campaign is launched highlighting the dangers of tailgating, telling drivers to back off.
Good morning. We're waking up with the tennis fans after an historic opening day here at Wimbledon. 7 British players making it through. One of those, Oliver Tarvert, the lowest ranked player in the Wimbledon draw, the 21-year-old student making a dream start on his debut.
Good morning. Yesterday was the hottest opening day of the Wimbledon Championships on record. Today it could be even hotter across the south and the east and still humid. We've got a weak weather front across the central swathe of the country producing cloud and a few showers, but fresher conditions coming in behind that front into the northwest.
Let's have a look at the Tuesday morning papers, shall we? And lots of them leading on our top story today, that key vote on welfare reforms. This is the Daily Mail's front page saying that rebel MPs are set to humiliate the Prime Minister despite him making those last-minute concessions.
The Guardian looks at reports that police have launched an investigation into performances by Bob Villan and Kneecap at Glastonbury.
The Daily Express also going with that story. The paper saying that the BBC's Director General, Tim Davie, needs to act now or resign following the decision to air the controversial Chance live streaming.
And the Times reports on the government's 10-year health plan, which is due to be published this week. It says the NHS will prioritise doctors and nurses in the UK and commit to recruiting fewer staff from overseas.
Tonight at 6, 3 former bosses at the hospital where convicted nurse Lucy Letby worked are arrested on suspicion of gross negligence manslaughter. Also tonight, the scene in the Commons. High emotion ahead of the crucial vote on welfare reform in an hour. How big will the rebellion be?
One massive U-turn wasn't enough to stave off potential defeat for the government, so extraordinarily another one in the last hour. I'll talk you through it in the next few minutes.
Extreme heat shuts the top of the Eiffel Tower as Europe swelters. The bitter feud between Donald Trump and Elon Musk reignites. The president threatens to deport the world's richest man and strip his businesses of federal funds. A dramatic rescue after a girl falls from a Disney cruise ship on its way to Florida. Her father jumps in to save her. And Jack Draper is one of 9 British players in action on day 2 at Wimbledon. We'll have all the latest.